Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live. Now, Esti Olivier's journey to the Olympics has taken 16 long years. Now, this has been based on a resolute dream, but really has been a roller coaster ride in her career until achieving this Olympic dream. A good morning to you, Esti. Thank you so much for joining us bright and early right here on Sports on Morning Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Esti, let's start with, where did your journey with water sports begin, and what other sports were you involved in before you decided that canoeing was the one that you wanted to fully pursue?
I kind of started because it was a bit of a family sport. My dad used to do triathlon with the canoeing instead of swimming, and when he retired from that, that was kind of the sport that stuck. So I just grew up next to the water and naturally started paddling. But all through primary school and high school, I also played hockey, and I'm still quite a big hockey enthusiast. But in grade 11, I had to start choosing, which one I was going to try and take to the next level. And canoeing was the choice I made, just because I had already gone so much further in that sporting career as in hockey. So yeah, I made that choice in grade 11, and I haven't really looked back.
No, you haven't looked back at all. What a baby, Esti. Let's talk about how you've had so many false starts in terms of going to the Olympics. And before I move on to the physical challenges that you've had to go through, talk me through some of those financial challenges that you've been through.
Yeah, look, canoeing's a really small sport. I think most people, they usually confuse us with rowing. So there's not a lot of support in the country for canoeing. So everything you do was self-funded. Even our tours to go represent the country overseas, all of that was self-funded. So in order to do that, I had to work 3 jobs and, pay my living expenses on this side, as well as have another job to just purely save up to be able to go and represent the country, and then just the general expenses to get to training and pay for recovery and sports science and all of these other things that we need in order to be top athletes.
And that's a lot. And I mean, you speak about those financial challenges, but over and above the financial challenges, you've also had some health-related challenges, and you missed out on Tokyo 2020. Talk us through that and bring our viewers into the picture and let them know what happened for you to miss out on Tokyo.
Yeah, so Tokyo, I missed out in 2019 at the World Championships to qualify, and then we went on to the Africa Games in Morocco, where we then qualified through the continental route. But unfortunately, the criteria that was set for us, we then weren't allowed because of our results at the World Champs. We weren't allowed to qualify through Africa, and these additional requirements were implemented because of financial constraints towards the Olympic Games. So yeah, I ended up qualifying but not being allowed to go. So that was quite terrible. But then shortly after, I had another shot in 2021, and we had to travel to Siberia in Russia. That was quite interesting. Where it was a final shot, winner takes all opportunity, and then there I ended up 5th in the Olympic qualifier, and then a day later I won silver in the World Cup against the same girl that ended up winning the quota. So I knew I was good enough, and I think that was quite a hectic blow for me. But I came home, and then I contracted COVID, and COVID actually damaged my sino arterial node in my heart, which then stopped me in my tracks for 6 months, having to go into rehab and on medication. And that's been quite a journey. And I then relapsed at the end of 2023. And I went into another 6 months of rehab, which was a big part of my build-up to the Olympic Games. But looking back, I almost feel like that was kind of a blessing. Otherwise, I would have raced the Olympic Games with a broken heart, not knowing. And now it's fixed, and I'm feeling like I've never been this strong in my life. So happy endings.
Happy endings indeed, but I suppose this makes it so much more special for you because you've come so close on so many occasions, qualifying and not being able to go because of the financial challenges, and so close to these Olympics, possibly once again having that health scare. How do you keep yourself mentally and psychologically on track, because it's not an easy thing to go through?
No, it wasn't easy. And I think this last relapse was extremely scary, because when I went to the cardiologist and I asked him how long, and he said a year. And I was like, no, I don't have a year. I have to qualify at nationals in a few months. And then I have the Olympics in another few months. This isn't going to work. So I'm not going to lie, I freaked out a little bit in the beginning. But I think having a great team around me and knowing and trusting that everyone there is invested in the best for me helped a lot. And once we sat down and we calmly worked through the diagnosis and the plan going forward and everything, I kind of settled down and I was like, okay, so here's the plan. This is what we're following. We'll adapt if necessary. But as long as I felt like I was moving forward, I was able to get up every day and go do what was necessary.
Well, Esti, I want you to know that you have inspired so many people across South Africa, and we're so proud of you. And we're extremely proud that you finally, 16 years later, get the opportunity to represent the country at the Olympics. And I know you put a lot of pressure on yourself in terms of performance and outcome. So what are your targets that you've set for yourself going into Paris 2024?
I think I have like a few different targets on different levels. In terms of results, I would really like to race into an A final. And then once you're there, you know, the shot at a medal is anyone's game. Once you're in that A final, it's up to anyone. Anything can happen. But then I also have like psychological goals where I just want to be able to stay calm and in the moment and be able to execute every single stroke as perfectly as possible, execute my race plan as perfectly as possible, or even better. As long as I can cross the finish line feeling like every single race was my absolute everything, I think that'll be a big psychological win. And I'm also convinced that if I can manage to do that, then the physical results will also show.
Well, Esti, the Morning Live team and the whole of South Africa is rooting for you, and we wish you all the best. I'll see you out in Paris.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
Yes, of course, because I am heading to Paris for the Olympic Games. Now, that's where we wrap up your sport news in this hour. Esti Olivier, South African canoeist. I mean, she's been through so much, but she finally gets to, 16 years later, compete at the Olympic Games.